My soccer-obsessed boyfriend came with me to the World Cup, then gave my seat away. I was not the kind of fan who could recite every player's statistics or argue about formations for hours, but I loved him, and I wanted to share something that mattered to him. That day, the heat was brutal. We were standing in line outside the stadium under 98-degree weather, waiting to enter, when I noticed how uncomfortable Jason looked. So I told him I was going to buy him an ice-cold Coke from a nearby stand. I still remember holding 2 cold bottles in my hands, the condensation dripping down my fingers, thinking he would be happy when I came back. But when I returned to the entrance, Jason was gone. At first, I thought maybe he had stepped aside or moved closer to the gate, but then I checked my phone. My digital ticket showed that it had already been scanned. Entered. Used. A cold, uneasy feeling spread through my chest. I called him immediately and asked, "Why does my ticket show it's already been used?" Jason answered like nothing was wrong. "Oh, I ran into Chloe, the intern from my department. She couldn't get a ticket and was crying outside, so I gave her yours." For a second, I genuinely could not process what he had just said. "Are you insane? That was the front row VIP ticket I got." He sighed like I was the unreasonable one. "Oh, come on. You don't even like soccer. You just sit there playing on your phone. Chloe is a real fan. Have you ever heard of doing a good deed?" I stood there in the heat, too shocked to speak. He had taken my ticket, a ticket I had bought, and given it to another woman without even asking me. "So you left me outside alone for an intern?" I asked. His answer came fast and cruel. "You can watch the live stream anyway. Just find a patch of grass and sit there until the match ends. Stop being so selfish." Then the call ended. Just like that, I was standing outside the stadium with 2 bottles of Coke, no ticket, and no boyfriend. My first instinct was to call my brother, Ethan. Ethan was not just any soccer fan. He was the star striker, playing inside that very stadium. When he picked up, his voice was rushed and muffled by noise from the locker room. "Hey, Amanda, I'm about to head out for the match. The locker room signal is terrible. After the game, I'll take you to the celebration party." I could hear the coach yelling in the background, telling the players to head onto the field. Before I could explain anything, the call cut off. I froze there. Phone in one hand, Coke bottles in the other, while the asphalt beneath me shimmered in the punishing heat. Drops of water slid down the bottles and fell onto my shoes. Above me, the sun felt like it was burning straight through my skin. A security guard walked over and waved me away impatiently. "Ma'am, if you don't have a ticket, stop blocking the entry lane. Go wait over there in the plaza." I wanted to argue, but what could I say? My ticket had already been scanned. So I moved to the edge of the plaza, where there was not a single patch of shade. Sweat ran down my forehead and into my eyes until they stung. I pulled out my phone, intending to call Jason again and demand to know exactly how long he expected me to wait outside like this. But the second I opened Instagram, the first post I saw was his. It was a photo of the soccer field from a front row VIP angle. My front row VIP angle. On the right side of the picture, I could clearly see a slim girl's wrist. And on that wrist was the Cartier bracelet I had spent $20,000 on for Jason last month. The caption said, "Watching the match with someone who actually understands it. This is what the World Cup is all about." My hands started shaking. I called Jason again, and it rang for so long that I almost thought he would ignore me entirely. When he finally answered, his voice was filled with irritation. "What now? Are you ever going to stop?" Behind him, the stadium erupted with deafening cheers, probably because someone had scored. I clenched my jaw and asked, "What about the Instagram post? You gave my ticket to someone else, and now you're letting her wear my bracelet?" Jason scoffed. "Amanda, why are you so materialistic? Chloe didn't wear any accessories today. I thought the bracelet matched her outfit, so what's wrong with letting her borrow it? You can't even tell Cristiano from Neymar, and you think you understand soccer." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "I don't understand soccer, but I understand basic manners. That was my ticket. What gave you the right to make that decision without my permission? Do you know how hot it is outside? You're making me stand here for hours." But Jason only sounded more self-righteous. "I already told you. Chloe is an intern. Her monthly salary is only $3,000. She can't even afford official merchandise. You carry handbags worth tens of thousands, so what's wrong with letting her have the ticket? You always act so superior at the office, and now you're getting picky over one ticket. Are you jealous because Chloe understands soccer better than you?" I could barely believe what I was hearing. He was using my belongings to play generous in front of another woman, then acting like I was cruel for objecting. At that moment, Chloe's soft little voice floated through the phone. "Jason, you're really upset. Maybe I should leave instead. I really want to watch Ethan play, but I don't want to hurt your relationship." She sounded so innocent, it was almost impressive. Jason immediately lowered his voice to comfort her. "Don't listen to her. She's just dramatic. Stay here. Nobody's kicking you out today." Then his voice hardened again when he returned to me. "Amanda, I'm warning you. Don't embarrass me out there acting crazy. It wasn't easy for Chloe to come here. If you dare come inside and make a scene today, we're done." My fingers tightened around the Coke bottle until my knuckles turned white. "Fine," I said. "I won't come in, Jason. Take your stuff and get out of there right now." He laughed coldly. "Leave? This is Ethan's home game, and you want me to leave?" There's seriously something wrong with your brain. Even if you got on your knees and begged me right now, I wouldn't leave. It felt like a stone had been placed on my chest. I could barely breathe. Jason, if you don't leave, don't contact me again after this. There was a brief silence, maybe 2 seconds. Then he laughed again, this time with open mockery. Fine, Amanda. Stop threatening me with a breakup. If you dare walk away today, don't come begging me to take you back later. Chloe, let's move closer to the front. Ignore this crazy woman. Before I could say anything else, the call disconnected. I stood there beneath the blazing sun, surrounded by crowds of excited fans, and suddenly everything felt absurd. After 3 years together, I had always told myself Jason was just hot-tempered, just careless, just bad at handling pressure. I never imagined he could humiliate me in front of another woman until I meant absolutely nothing. The security guard came over again and tapped the railing beside me with his baton. Hey, I'm talking to you. Don't stand here blocking the way. I took 2 steps backward, and the world suddenly tilted. My vision went black around the edges. The last thing I heard was people shouting in alarm. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I noticed was the sharp smell of disinfectant. I was lying on a canvas cot inside a medical tent, and a nurse was checking my blood pressure. You're awake? She said. You had mild heat stroke. A kind passerby brought you here. I tried to sit up, but my stomach twisted violently. My entire body felt weak and hollow. Thank you, I whispered. How long have I been lying here? The nurse glanced at her watch. Almost an hour. You need to call a friend or family member to pick you up. It's way too hot outside. I reached into my pocket with trembling fingers and pulled out my phone. There were no missed calls. Not one. No message asking where I was. No message asking if I was okay. The only text from Jason had been sent 10 minutes earlier. It said, go buy Chloe an official duffel bag. She couldn't get one. You're just wandering around outside anyway. Looking at that single line, I became so angry that I actually laughed. I had collapsed from heat stroke outside the stadium, and he had not noticed. He had not cared. Instead, he was ordering me to buy merchandise for the girl sitting in my seat, wearing my bracelet. I immediately called him on FaceTime. It rang until the very last second before he finally answered slowly, like I was interrupting something important. The first thing he said was, you got the bag? Don't buy the wrong color. Chloe likes black. My voice came out cold. Jason, I have heat stroke. I'm in the medical tent right now. He paused briefly. Then came that familiar impatience. Amanda, why do you keep pretending to be fragile? You're deliberately trying to get attention because you saw Chloe having fun inside. I closed my eyes and fought the urge to smash my phone against the floor. I'm not pretending. I'm dizzy, nauseous, and I can barely stand. Jason clicked his tongue. Oh, enough already. Stop this pathetic act. Someone stepped on Chloe's ankle, and now it's swollen. I need to get an ice pack for her. Since you're already in the medical tent, grab an ice pack and bring it over to the ticket gate. For a moment, I wondered if I had heard him correctly. You want someone who passed out from heat stroke to bring an ice pack to you and your mistress? Jason exploded instantly. Watch your mouth. What mistress? Chloe is an innocent girl. We're just pure friends. Why is your mind so filthy? When your own heart is dirty, everything you see looks dirty. Chloe's teary voice came from beside him again. Jason, don't yell at Amanda. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have twisted my ankle. I'll walk out right now even if it hurts. I won't cause Amanda any trouble. Jason immediately softened toward her. Why would you walk? Your foot is swollen like this. The one who should leave is a cold-blooded animal like her who has no sympathy. I did not want to listen to that disgusting performance anymore, so I hung up. Outside the medical tent, the sky had started turning darker. From the stadium, cheers erupted again and again. Ethan had probably scored. The crowd eventually began pouring out like a tidal wave. I dragged my weak body toward the VIP exit passage and waited. Not long after, I saw Jason walking out with Chloe on his back. Chloe was holding an official black duffel bag, the exact kind Jason had obviously just bought for her. She lay against his back, smiling happily, their bodies pressed together as if they were the couple and I was the stranger. Jason, this bag is so pretty, she said sweetly. Thank you for buying it for me. His tone was indulgent. Why are you being polite with me? I took a deep breath, walked forward, and blocked their path. The second Jason saw me, the smile disappeared from his face, replaced by an irritated frown. Chloe's foot hurts so much she can't walk right now. I need to call a taxi and take her back downtown. I don't have time to argue with you here. I let out a cold laugh. You're taking her home? What about me? My car keys are still in your bag. Do you expect me to fly back? I had driven him there that day. My keys had been in his backpack the whole time. Jason froze for a second, like he had only just remembered I existed. Then he impatiently reached into his pocket, pulled out my keys, and tossed them at me. Just drive yourself back. What's the big deal? But after the heat stroke, my hands were too weak. I did not catch them. The keys arced through the air and landed deep in the grass beside us. I have heat stroke, I said calmly. I can't drive. Jason scoffed. Still acting. You sounded pretty energetic when you were demanding money earlier. Chloe, let's go. Ignore this crazy woman. He raised his hand and flagged down a black, unlicensed car by the roadside, then carefully helped Chloe into the back seat. Chloe leaned out the window and winked at me. "Amanda, if you really can't drive, I can lend you my bus card." Then the car sped away, spraying exhaust fumes directly into my face. By then, the sky had turned completely dark. I was weak, dizzy, alone, and stranded. Before I could even collect myself, a group of drunk men staggered toward me. Two shirtless men, reeking of alcohol, looked me up and down without shame. "Hey girl, all alone? No ride home? We can give you one." My heart tightened. I stepped back immediately. "No thanks, my friend is coming soon." I forced myself to sound calm, but my body was shaking. The man with tattooed sleeves reached out and grabbed my arm. "Why act innocent? Anyone hanging around here this late at night is looking for fun. Come on, have a few drinks with us." I yanked my arm free and ran toward the nearest streetlights. While running, I called Jason with trembling hands. The automated voice answered instead. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is currently powered off." That merciless message shattered the last piece of hope I had left. I hid in the narrow space between two buses, covering my mouth with one hand so I would not make a sound. My whole body was shaking uncontrollably. I could hear their footsteps getting closer. "Where'd she run off to?" one of them muttered. "That girl is pretty fast." I was at the edge of panic when a black van slowly approached. Its headlights cut through the darkness and shone directly onto the men's faces. The vehicle stopped beside the buses. The side door slid open with a loud hiss, and a tall man wearing a baseball cap and black mask stepped out silently. Without saying a word, he grabbed the tattooed man by the collar and threw him aside like he weighed nothing. "Get lost." The drunk men looked ready to fight until several massive bodyguards dressed in black stepped out of the van behind him. Half their drunken courage disappeared instantly. They ran. The man turned around and removed his mask. Under the headlights, I saw the same face that tens of thousands of people had just been cheering for inside the stadium. It was my biological brother, Ethan. "Amanda, how did you end up like this?" The moment he saw my pale face and scraped knee, fury ignited in his eyes. I threw myself into my brother's arms, and the tears I had held back all day finally broke loose. I told him everything. After I got into the van, one of Ethan's bodyguards handed me a warm towel and a bottle of warm water. The air conditioning slowly pushed away the nausea from the heat, but nothing could cool the fire burning inside my chest. Ethan's phone suddenly vibrated. He opened it, looked at the screen, and let out a cold laugh. This idiot actually dares to send me a direct message. He tossed the phone onto my lap. On the screen was a private message Jason had sent to Ethan's official social media account. "Ethan, I've been your fan for 10 years. Congratulations to your team for winning the championship. Today I brought the girl I love most to watch your game from the front row VIP section. She even twisted her ankle cheering for you. I hope we can have your blessing." The girl I love most. I whispered those words under my breath, and a humorless laugh escaped my dry lips. Just last month, Jason had been telling me he could not wait to marry me. Now he was using my brother's fame to show off the intern he had abandoned me for. Ethan's face became a mask of cold fury. He was still in his sweat-soaked jersey, the championship medal hanging around his neck, shining under the dim van lights. He had just played 90 exhausting minutes, scored the winning goal, and instead of celebrating, he was sitting beside me holding my trembling hand. "I'm going to destroy him, Amanda," he said in a dangerous whisper. "I don't care about public image. I'll post his message, tag him, and show the world what pathetic trash he is." "No," I said suddenly. My voice had steadied. I wiped the last traces of tears from my face and stared at the glowing phone screen. "That's too fast, Ethan." A public social media call-out would hurt him quickly, but he would play the victim. He would say, "You abused your power as a celebrity." I want him to climb as high as possible first. I want him to feel like he finally touched the sky, and then I want to remove the ladder beneath him. Ethan looked at me for a long moment. Then a slow, dark smile spread across his face. "The team celebration party is next Friday at the Hyatt Club. It's invitation only. Media will be there. Major sponsors, club executives, high society." "Perfect. Exactly," I said. My mind was already moving with cold precision. Reply to him. Ethan pulled out his personal phone and logged into the admin panel for his official account. "What do you want me to say?" he asked. "Tell him you're deeply moved by his loyalty," I said, my voice like ice. "Tell him that because of his dedication, and because his girlfriend hurt her ankle, cheering for you, you want to personally invite them to the exclusive championship celebration at the Hyatt Club. Tell him you're preparing an autographed jersey, and that you'll personally give them your blessing on stage." Ethan chuckled softly, with absolutely no warmth in it. He typed quickly, "Done. Let's see how long it takes for him to bite." It took exactly 3 seconds. My phone, which Jason had ignored while I was collapsing from heat stroke, suddenly vibrated in my hand. It was not a call checking if I was alive. It was an Instagram notification. Jason had already screenshot Ethan's reply and posted it to his story. The caption read, "When you're a real fan, the universe notices. Thanks, brother, for the personal invitation to the Hyatt Club. Chloe and I will see you there." I stared at the screen as the absurdity washed over me. He had not checked whether I made it home safely. He had not asked how severe my heat stroke was. He had simply discarded me like garbage, decorated his mistress with my $20,000 Cartier bracelet, and then used my brother's name to parade his so-called true love around like a trophy. I looked at the driver and said, "Take us home. I have a lot of preparation to do before Monday." Monday morning arrived with cool, oppressive humidity. I drove to Walker Enterprises in my backup car, a sleek matte black Porsche Panamera. Normally, I kept a low profile. I parked in the regular employee lot and drove a modest sedan because I did not want attention. At the office, everyone simply knew me as Amanda Walker. I had taken my mother's maiden name when I entered the corporate world. My family owned Walker Enterprises, a massive multinational conglomerate, and my father had insisted that Ethan and I both start from the bottom so we would understand the realities of our industries firsthand. Ethan had gone into sports, while I quietly joined the marketing department of one of our own subsidiaries. Jason was a project manager in the same department. He had always assumed I was just a middle-class girl who got lucky landing a decent job. He constantly complained that I acted superior, mostly because I refused to let him control my finances, and because I occasionally wore designer items my mother had bought for me. That morning, I parked directly in the executive VIP section. When I walked through the glass doors of the marketing department, the office was unusually loud. A crowd of interns and junior associates had gathered around Chloe's desk. Chloe sat there with her foot resting on a plush stool, holding a designer Starbucks cup and enjoying every second of the attention. "Oh my God, Chloe," one intern gasped. "It really is a Cartier love bracelet. It's the white gold one with diamond settings. That thing costs at least 20 grand. Chloe smiled modestly, though her voice dripped with fake humility as she rotated her wrist so the diamonds caught the fluorescent office lights. "It was a gift. Someone special insisted I wear it. He said a delicate wrist like mine shouldn't go bare." Another coworker jumped in. "And the World Cup VIP ticket? Is it true you met Ethan?" Chloe squealed and blushed. "Jason took me. Ethan was so sweet. He actually messaged Jason directly and invited us to the private championship party at the Hyatt Club this Friday. We're going to be on stage with him." I stood at the edge of the crowd with my arms crossed, watching the pathetic performance unfold. Jason stood nearby, leaning against a pillar with a smug, self-satisfied smile on his face. The moment he noticed me, that smile faltered for half a second, then twisted into a cold, condescending smirk. He walked toward me and kept his voice low so no one else could hear. "So you finally decided to show up? I thought you were going to play victim and take a sick day. Let me guess. You're here to beg me to take you to the party on Friday." I looked at him with no expression. "Where are my car keys, Jason?" He scoffed and rolled his eyes. "Are you seriously still whining about that? I threw them at you. If you were too weak to catch them, that's your problem. Go look for them in the grass. Or, better yet, take the bus. Didn't Chloe offer you her bus card? And the bracelet?" I asked, nodding toward Chloe's wrist. Jason's face hardened. "I already told you. Chloe's outfit needed an accessory. She's an intern, Amanda. She doesn't have the luxury of buying expensive things just to show off like you do. Why are you so materialistic? It's just a bracelet. Let her borrow it for a few days." "That bracelet cost $20,000, Jason," I said quietly, dangerously quietly. "I bought it with my own money. I never gave her permission to wear it. And right now, she's walking around the office pretending it was a gift." "So what?" Jason hissed. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. "What exactly are you going to do about it? Cry to management? You're just a project manager, Amanda. Don't make a scene and embarrass yourself. If you dare cause trouble for Chloe, I'll make sure everyone in this office knows exactly how crazy and jealous you are." I did not answer him. Instead, I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and dialed a 3-digit number. Jason frowned. "What are you doing?" "Calling the police," I said calmly. Jason burst out laughing, a harsh, mocking sound. "The police? You're insane. Over a bracelet? Over a $20,000 piece of jewelry that was taken from me without consent," I said as the line connected. "Yes, hello. I'd like to report felony theft at Walker Enterprises, Marketing Department, 14th floor. The suspect is currently wearing the stolen item." The laughter disappeared from Jason's face instantly. "Amanda, hang up the phone," he shouted, reaching toward my arm. Before his fingers could touch me, I stepped backward, my eyes sharp as ice. "If you touch me, Jason, I'll add assault to the police report." The commotion finally drew the attention of the rest of the office. Chloe looked up, and her eyes widened in panic when she saw my expression. She quickly stood from her desk, still limping slightly to maintain her performance. "Amanda, what's going on?" she asked innocently, her voice trembling perfectly. "Are you angry at me? If it's about the bracelet, I can take it off." "Don't take it off, Chloe," I said loudly enough for the entire department to hear. "Keep wearing it. The police will need to document the stolen property on your person for the arrest report." "Stolen?" A collective gasp moved through the office. Jason looked like his eyes were about to explode. "Amanda, have you lost your damn mind?" he roared. "I gave her that bracelet. It's mine to give." I tilted my head. "Do you have the receipt, Jason?" "Because I do. I have the digital receipt from Cartier on 5th Avenue, linked directly to my personal bank account and my ID. I also have the security footage from the boutique showing me purchasing it. Do you want to explain to the police how a man making $80,000 a year managed to buy a $20,000 diamond bracelet on some random Tuesday while drowning in credit card debt? Jason choked on his own words. His face shifted from anger to pure terror because he knew I was right. He had never been able to afford anything remotely close to that price. 10 minutes later, 2 uniformed police officers walked through the glass office doors. The entire department fell silent. Who reported felony theft? The older officer asked. I did, I said, stepping forward and handing over my phone with the digital receipt and my identification already displayed. My name is Amanda Walker. This is proof of purchase for a Cartier Love bracelet, white gold, diamond setting, serial number CR553201. The suspect, Chloe, is currently wearing it. The officers walked toward Chloe, who had gone pale as paper. Ma'am, please step forward, one of them said. Jason immediately stepped in front of them, trying to block their path. Officer, please. This is all a misunderstanding. I'm her supervisor. I loaned it to her. We're together. The officer's voice became firm. Sir, step back. He inspected Chloe's wrist, checked the engraved serial number inside the gold band, then nodded to his partner. Serial numbers match. He looked directly at Chloe. Miss, do you have any proof of ownership for this jewelry? Chloe's mouth opened and closed. Aye. Then she burst into tears, her face twisting with humiliation. Jason gave it to me. He said it was his. I didn't know it was stolen. Please don't arrest me. If you didn't know, you can explain that at the station, the officer said as he pulled out handcuffs. Please come with us. Chloe turned toward me, sobbing through her carefully applied makeup. Amanda, please. I'll give it back. I'm sorry. Please don't do this. My internship, my career, it will be ruined. I looked at her without expression. You didn't care about my health when you left me standing outside in 98-degree heat. You didn't care about my relationship when you wore my bracelet and flaunted it around. So why exactly should I care about your career? The officers led Chloe away in handcuffs while she sobbed uncontrollably. The entire department stared at Jason and me in stunned silence. Jason slowly turned toward me, his eyes wide and burning with hatred and desperation. Bitch, he whispered, his voice shaking violently. You completely ruined her. She's just an innocent girl. Are you happy now? Did your little jealousy finally get satisfied? This isn't jealousy, Jason, I said softly. This is only the beginning of the bill. Jason completely lost control. We're done, Amanda, he screamed, no longer caring that every employee was watching. Don't ever contact me again. Friday, I'm going to the Hyatt Club. I'm going to stand on stage with Ethan, the world champion, while you sit alone rotting in your pathetic little apartment. You are nothing to me, I smiled politely. It was a very small smile, and somehow that made his anger even worse. See you Friday, Jason. The rest of the week passed in a blur of frantic preparation. Jason spent his days desperately trying to secure bail for Chloe and hiring the cheapest lawyer he could find. He burned through his savings, getting her released while she awaited trial, leaving himself nearly broke. But despite his financial disaster, he refused to cancel Friday night. To him, the Hyatt Club party was his golden ticket. He genuinely believed that if he could impress Ethan, he might land a sponsorship deal or a lucrative sports marketing role and finally escape his boring corporate life. He even rented an expensive designer tuxedo on credit, determined to look like he belonged among high society. Then Friday night arrived. The Hyatt Club was a masterpiece of luxury, located on the upper floors of a towering skyscraper overlooking the glittering city skyline. The entrance was surrounded by velvet ropes, flashing cameras, and an army of security guards in sleek black suits. Ethan's PR team had arranged for Jason and Chloe's names to be placed on a special VIP guest list. Because of that, they skipped the brutal security lines and were escorted straight into the grand ballroom. I arrived shortly after, accompanied by Ethan. I wore a breathtaking custom-made emerald silk gown designed by a renowned French designer. Around my neck was a matching diamond necklace from my family's private collection. My hair was styled in an elegant updo, my makeup flawless. Not a single trace remained of the exhausted, heat-stricken woman who had been abandoned outside the stadium 1 week earlier. While waiting in the private lounge, I watched Jason and Chloe through a one-way glass window overlooking the ballroom. Chloe wore a cheap, flashy pink dress that looked like it had come from a fast fashion website. Her ankle was heavily wrapped in bright white bandages, clearly meant to draw attention to her supposed injury. She clung tightly to Jason's arm, her eyes wide with greed as she looked around the room. Jason held a champagne glass with his chest puffed out, trying to strike up conversations with wealthy sponsors. Most of them politely ignored him. Ethan placed a hand on my shoulder. Ready? I took a slow breath, then smiled. More than ready. Let's give them the blessing they asked for. Ethan nodded toward his manager, who signaled the event coordinator. A moment later, the booming voice of the master of ceremonies echoed through the ballroom's state-of-the-art sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed sponsors and honored guests, please welcome the man of the hour, the World Cup Golden Boot winner, and our championship hero, Ethan Walker. The ballroom exploded with thunderous applause and cheers. Camera flashes lit up the room as Ethan stepped onto the elevated stage holding a microphone. I remained hidden in the shadows at the edge of the platform, just outside the immediate line of sight but close enough to watch everything unfold. Ethan raised both hands, smiling warmly at the crowd as the applause faded. Thank you, everyone. This championship wasn't won only on the field. It was won because of the dedication of our incredible fans. And tonight, I'd like to call up a very special fan. Someone who went viral this week because of unmatched loyalty. Across the crowd, Jason's eyes lit up instantly. He nudged Chloe so hard that she almost stumbled, his face turning red from manic excitement. Ethan continued, I received a deeply moving message from a fan who claimed he brought the girl he loves most to the front row VIP section, and that she even injured herself while cheering for me. His voice remained perfectly calm, but I could hear the quiet sarcasm underneath. Jason, please come up on stage. The spotlight swept across the ballroom and landed directly on Jason and Chloe. The crowd parted politely, offering applause. Jason looked like a man who had just won the lottery. He practically marched toward the stage, dragging a limping Chloe behind him. The moment he reached Ethan, he grabbed for a handshake, his voice cracking with excitement. Ethan, this is an absolute honor. An absolute honor. He gushed into the microphone Ethan was holding. This is Chloe. She's my soulmate. My true love. We sacrificed a lot for this game. Ethan's smile turned dangerously sharp. Sacrificed indeed. You sacrificed quite a lot, didn't you, Jason? Jason's smile faltered. Ethan turned back toward the audience. I was deeply moved by your story. But as a professional athlete, I believe in fair play. And I also believe in giving credit where credit is due. So before giving you my blessing, I'd like to introduce the person who actually purchased and paid for those front row VIP tickets. The person who made it possible for you to be standing here tonight. Ethan slowly turned toward the dark edge of the stage and said clearly, Amanda, come out. I stepped forward, walking out of the darkness and into the blinding glow of the spotlights. The emerald silk of my gown shimmered under the stage lights. The diamonds around my neck reflected the flashing cameras, sending sparks of light across the ballroom. I walked slowly, gracefully, with a calm, composed smile resting on my face. Jason's eyes nearly bulged out of his skull. He froze completely, his mouth hanging open like a fish out of water. Chloe let out a sharp, strangled gasp and covered her mouth with her hand. Amanda, Jason stammered, his voice amplified through the microphone. What? How did you get in here? Security. This woman is stalking me. She snuck in. The ballroom went completely silent. The tension became thick enough to cut. Ethan slowly turned toward Jason, and the warm public smile vanished from his face. His voice dropped, cold and terrifying. She didn't sneak in, Jason. She is the guest of honor. And she is my biological sister. The revelation hit the room like a physical blow. A murmur swept through the sponsors and executives. Many of them immediately recognized the Walker family name. Their eyes sharpened as they looked from me to the pale, sweating man standing on stage. Sister? Jason whispered, his knees visibly trembling. No, that's impossible. Her name is Amanda. She's just a project manager at the subsidiary. I stepped forward and took a second microphone from one of the assistants. Amanda Walker, I corrected calmly. I use my mother's maiden name while working in the office so I wouldn't receive special treatment. But my father is the majority shareholder of Walker Enterprises. I tilted my head slightly and looked directly into Jason's terrified eyes. The same company that pays your salary? Jason. Every trace of color vanished from his face. He looked seconds away from fainting. Chloe looked like she wanted the floor to split open and swallow her whole. She instinctively stepped backward, and suddenly, her injured ankle looked perfectly fine. No limp, no pain, nothing. She stood completely upright in pure panic. Ethan stepped closer to Jason, his tall, athletic frame overshadowing him. You wanted my blessing, Jason, so let me give it to you. He turned toward the cameras. I bless you with the consequences of your own actions. Then he spoke loudly enough for every journalist in the room to hear. This man, Jason, took my sister's VIP ticket while she was buying him a drink under 98-degree heat. He scanned her ticket, left her outside to suffer heat stroke, and gave the ticket to his mistress, Chloe. Then he stole my sister's $20,000 Cartier bracelet and placed it on this woman's wrist while leaving my sister collapsed outside the stadium. Gasps of horror spread through the ballroom. Cameras started flashing rapidly, capturing every second of Jason and Chloe's humiliation. No, that's not what happened, Jason shouted desperately, looking wildly around the room. It was a misunderstanding. Amanda, baby, please, tell them I love you. I was just trying to do something nice for an intern. I got confused. Suddenly, he dropped to his knees right there on stage and reached toward the hem of my dress. Please, Amanda, don't do this to me. I'll do anything. I'll beg. I'll kneel. I'll do whatever you want. I stepped backward and looked down at him with nothing but cold pity. I believe last week you told me something, Jason. I paused, then smiled faintly. Even if you got on your knees and begged me right now, I wouldn't leave. I looked directly into his shattered eyes. Well, the feeling is mutual. Except I don't even want you in this room. I turned toward the head of security standing beside the stage. Mr. Navarro, please escort these two out. They are trespassing on private property. 4 large security guards immediately stormed onto the stage and grabbed Jason by both arms. He started screaming and struggling. His rented tuxedo began tearing at the seams as they dragged him backward. Amanda, You can't do this. We were together for 3 years. His voice cracked, ugly tears streaming down his face as desperation took over. You're a monster. You ruined my life. I stared at him calmly and answered softly into the microphone. You ruined your own life, Jason. I simply stopped paying for it. Beside him, Chloe was dragged away as well. Her fake limp had completely disappeared. She fought wildly against the guards, and her cheap pink dress caught on a sharp corner of the stage. The fabric tore violently, and she let out a shrill scream while trying to cover herself from the paparazzi cameras waiting near the ballroom entrance. Dozens of flashes had already captured everything. Then the heavy Hyatt Club doors slammed shut behind them. For 1 second, the ballroom remained completely silent. Then the room erupted. Thunderous applause filled the hall. It was not polite applause anymore. It was genuine. A roaring standing ovation for justice. Ethan wrapped one arm around my shoulders and pulled me close. You did good, little sister, he said proudly. I smiled back. A waiter approached with a tray of champagne glasses, and I took one, bringing it slowly to my lips. The sparkling liquid was sweet, cold, and completely free from the bitter taste of betrayal. The suffocating heat from that terrible day outside the stadium was long gone, but apparently Jason still had not learned when to stop humiliating himself. Near the entrance, I suddenly heard shouting. The ballroom doors burst open again. Jason had somehow broken free from security. His hair was disheveled, his shirt half untucked, and his face was red with rage and humiliation. He pointed directly at me. You think you won, he shouted hysterically. You think money makes you better than everyone else? You lied to me for 3 years. You pretended to be normal. You manipulated me. The room instantly went silent again. All eyes shifted toward me. I slowly placed my champagne glass down, then walked toward him. My heels clicked sharply against the marble floor, each step deliberate and controlled. Jason looked almost delirious. His breathing was heavy, his forehead was covered in sweat, and his entire world had collapsed in less than 10 minutes. I stopped directly in front of him and looked up calmly. Manipulated you? I repeated. A faint smile touched my lips. Jason, I never lied to you. I simply never corrected the assumptions you made. You assumed I was beneath you. You assumed my money was yours to control. You assumed I should feel grateful for your attention. And most importantly, you assumed I would stay. His expression twisted violently. You made me look like a fool. I shook my head slowly. No, you did that all by yourself. He pointed at Chloe, who was standing nearby, sobbing uncontrollably while trying to hold together what remained of her torn dress. You ruined Chloe, too. She did nothing wrong. I let out a quiet laugh. Nothing wrong? She knowingly wore stolen jewelry. She publicly bragged about receiving gifts that weren't hers. She helped humiliate another woman for her own benefit. She made her choices, just like you made yours. Jason's breathing became erratic. Then suddenly, the anger disappeared from his face, and panic replaced it. He stepped closer, eyes wet now. Amanda, please. I made a mistake. I swear. It was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. He reached for my hand, but I did not move. You know I love you, he whispered desperately. We can fix this. 3 years. You can't throw away 3 years over one misunderstanding. Behind me, Ethan laughed quietly. Not kindly, but dangerously. Jason ignored him and kept staring at me. His voice grew weaker. I'll quit my job. I'll disappear. I'll apologize. I'll buy you another bracelet. I'll do anything. Please don't leave me. I stared at him silently for several long seconds. Then I answered very quietly. You know what's funny, Jason? He looked up, and for one pathetic instant, hope appeared in his eyes. I smiled. The moment I was hiding between those buses, surrounded by drunk men, terrified and shaking, I called you. I stepped closer, so only he could hear the next words. And your phone was turned off. His face froze. I leaned back slightly and looked at him with complete indifference. That was the exact moment our relationship ended. His lips trembled. No, Amanda, please. I stepped away and turned toward security again. Take them out. This time, permanently. The guards moved immediately. Jason screamed, begged, and cried, but nobody in the ballroom cared anymore. He was dragged across the polished floor, with Chloe stumbling beside him, both of them disappearing beyond the heavy golden doors. And this time, they did not come back. Silence filled the room for several seconds before Ethan walked beside me again, crossing his arms. You know, he said casually, Dad already called the board. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? Ethan smirked. Jason was officially terminated 30 minutes ago. I laughed softly. And Chloe? Her internship contract was permanently revoked. I picked up my champagne glass again and took another slow sip. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights stretched endlessly into the night. Beautiful, peaceful, untouchable. Ethan looked at me. So, how do you feel? I stared at the skyline for a moment, letting the question settle. Then I smiled. Light. For the first time in a long time, I feel light. The betrayal, the humiliation, the anger, and the pain were all finally behind me. Not because revenge healed me, but because I had understood something important. Some people do not deserve second chances. Not because they made mistakes, but because they knew exactly what they were doing when they hurt you, and they simply expected you to tolerate it. I turned toward Ethan and looped my arm through his. Come on, I said. The night's still young. Ethan grinned. That's my sister. Together, we walked deeper into the dazzling ballroom, leaving the past exactly where it belonged, far behind us. And for the first time in a very long time, I could finally breathe.